Would you figure it and thinking if I didn't? And if I did, would you know? If I didn't tell you, how would you know? Well, obviously, you know you don't know something. You think I have an agenda? Any sort of agenda? You know, I sort of have an agenda to come on here. I've done a little bit of work on September and October. My brother-in-law mentioned it. Somehow he's must know that's what I do because I talk so much. So I worked on that. It's been days, a little bit at a time, over and over until I find something. But the reason I'm really on here right now is in support of liberty through the entire globe. Okay. Now, what would God say? Would he say, well, you know what? They lived in the jungle. If that's the way they want to live, leave them live in the jungle. That's their liberty. But can they kill their own people? Well, you know what? They're letting it happen actually somewhere in this world where people are getting killed still for sacrifices. But the people who stay there are the ones who believe. And if they're not, then they should get liberty. So I think we should really just make one cassette. Everybody should make one cassette and get out here and just say, if I was the administrator to this entire planet for all the people, I would give liberty to every person on this entire planet. I don't care how many toes you have, how many nose you have. I don't care if you go for liposuction, if you weigh 600 pounds. Okay? I don't care what it is. But do not abuse. I think we need to fix up our medical system somehow. We don't need to go to war. And if you're going to weigh 900 pounds, you're going to cost the doctors money and everybody else. So not only will you eat your way through into that, you won't be healthy and fit. And therefore, we're going to have to pay for you. But that's okay. What else can we do? You're part of the gang. You fucked up. I fucked up. We all fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's somebody all the money. He thinks, you know, to screw up doesn't really exist. Well, it all exists. Everything exists. It's not in your world. It's in somebody else's world. So if I were the proprietor of this entire world, if I was the king of the world, I would make sure that I run by the standards of Ron Paul. And even if Ron Paul wins, and even if he doesn't win, you have to remember one thing. If you got what you like, then hold it inside. Be proud inside what you have. You don't have to come out like after a hockey game and start beating up on everything. If Ron Paul has any success anywhere, okay, the only way he will have success is that if it ends with the obedience of those who follow his success. We are the obedient group, but when it needs time that we stand up, our obedience is strong. We know the angle and direction we are going and for what reason we are on the way, and we will stop those who will try to stop us. Because our advancement is not one bit. We don't take a step forward. But just to tell you, if you cross the line, well, you are on our side. It's a completely different ballgame. That's when good actually knows to move. When it gets to being crossed the line, pretty simple to figure out. The other thing I was working on is I saw a design. They were doing these, if there was a World War III, and they were doing designs between what America would look next to Canada. And the Great Lakes seem to possess either two letters saying TV or the number 72, which means that there's something really, really still up there in Chicago, Wisconsin, Sudbury, in Canada, where the Great Lakes are, because the 72 does show up there one time. I see designs all over the place. There's not all designs. This design is there. There's no other. I've never seen another one. Yes, the other design, for all those who are enlightened by the American $1 bill, on the back of it is a pyramid. And the pyramid is a pyramid. Hey, on the back of the bill is a pyramid. Take a look at the pyramid on the bottom. Take a look at it. Take a look at what it says, okay? In all actuality, before anything begins to be, MD, what is it? MD, CC is 1700. D, no, L is 1750. XX 1770 V1. But before that all begins, take a look on the left side. There's the letter J before that all begins. Because I'm telling you, I know All that I have done, there's a little piece of right in every single one. Not a little piece of almost, I think, in a hypothesis, but a little piece of what I say is absolutely, okay, one of the wedges, okay, inside the puzzle of creation. Oh no, was it my cats that cut me out? I just heard the fatal noise every time I do these YouTubes. Doo-doot, doo-doot. Almost means like, I guess they're taking away my internet. Anyways, let me look through the book and see what I have. I'm into another book. I'm into an old book. I'm all over the books anyways. I did a little bit of my name. I did a little bit of so many different things. Somebody came on and mentioned 444. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get to the percentage sign, which is actually more or less saying like 6 and 9, more or less saying like that's the digital division between the two worlds, in which I did create. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to get to it in this cassette. I'm already into 6 minutes. It's a long cassette. I just want to show you. You see this over here? This is how the dice connect, okay, on a face value on your telephone keypad. 1 and 6 connect, 4 and 3 connect, 2 in the center, 5 connect. There's no tail on man, because man's tail, that hangs down, or man's V. You see the V here? V down, V up. Okay. Anyways, 4 and 3. These are the two hockey sticks. Have you ever seen the old Montreal Forum? These used to be the elevators that crossed on the way down. Okay. But obviously the V is not center, so that means the angle is straight and starts only from the center. Do I get the 45-degree angle? The 4 has to run to the center before it hits the 45-degree angle to get to the 3, and the 1 runs all the way through the 5 until it can straighten out to get to the 6. That's the angles they have to run. Obligation do not change, whether it's a tiny space, a space that any scientists know about anything, whether it's a big space or a small space or any kind of space. It doesn't matter what kind of space it is. You know it doesn't matter what kind of space it is. That's the way it is. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. There's so many things that I didn't mark down. Wow, I don't even know where to start, and I don't know if I did this in my last video. So I'm not going to do it as a recreational thing. I'm going to show you again how I got the 444, and one of the reasons was the numbers of creation are from 1 to 36. When you put them into 9 squares, this is how it shows up. 4 of the rows are 222. 2 of the roads that connect are 444. This one here and this one here connects. Okay, the 90 degrees. Or it's straight across. Straight across this way, straight across this way. So both of those are 222 and 222 makes 888. But now, okay, this is a face value. So now you have to turn it this way. Okay, so that 888 would be doubled. It would be 1776. Now, how do we lead 1776 to today? Well, the one spirit of man, okay, the opposite there, okay. Now, what was I talking about? How do we bring 1776 up to today or tomorrow? Well, George Washington's birthday, okay, and he's on the $1 bill. He is the representation of one in the one spirit on the one. So therefore, he attracts and he connects and he connects to the 6th spirit here. So what happens? His birthday, they enact, and they started his birthday in 1792, which was 16 years later. 1 and 6, 16, or the letter P, which is the connection of the one spirit to the 6th man. It represents that number. So that was in 1792. Now, 222 years later, like I showed you that cycle, 1 quarter for man, okay, on one side, 1 quarter on the other side. Anyways, 222, whatever it is, I'll show you after what 222 is. Now I have to come back to what I was doing, where I came up with. Oh yes, so the 444, the 222. So right, 1792. 222 years later is October 4th. Okay, and why would it happen at that time? Because it seems like every time something happens at one of those numbers, okay, either it was Noah or Moses. Moses came in when the child should have been killed, and When he saved the people, that's when Passover happened, when all the children of the opposite were killed by slain of God. So, and then when Jesus came in, and you see the time of Jesus and the time that's coming is very relevant, and I'm going to try to explain to it. Jesus came in, and then 2014 years later, and I'm going to explain that. Okay, it's 2011 years that go by because we don't start from the zero at the beginning, so it's actually -1 more than anything else. Okay, or starting before the year begins always changes the number. Anyways, let me tell you to one thing. In Montreal in 1967, they called it Terre des Hommes. Okay, they called it in English Man and His Worlds, but Terre des Hommes means the earth of man. They say the Son of Man is coming. If one of the sons of men, okay, was Christ, okay, and he was here and he died at 33, and Terre des Hommes was here in 1967, that means the beginning of his name of honor at this place until the year 2000, when they say it closes off that cycle, is exactly 33 years. So if Christ was coming back, he had to come back at the age of 33, okay, and then he had to be 33 as of the year 2000. Now, is that the ending or the beginning? Ending or beginning, the year is 2012 right now. That would make him 45 years old this year. But in 2 years from now, in 2014, that I've been calling 5775, Christ would be 47 years old, 2 years younger than me. And the funny thing about that, the number of Christ is 74, and the coming of time is number 47. Not only that, 40, 40, and 40 is 120. 777 is 21, is 141, right? Well, why don't we actually balance it off? It's 141. Do you know what forever is all about? Because the 4 is what you ever will be, and you will always be, because it's the 4 who connects the O of who you are. Without the 4, you're only 2. And a life with no brains, well, I'm hoping for more. So, did we understand that? Did we get that by yet? Did we get that down yet? Okay, let me see if we get the next one over here. So I was telling you about the design. Another thing, I was working on the numbers of Armageddon, and what's funny of Armageddon, I have this new way of doing things, is I'm pulling out numbers that don't pop up. In the word Armageddon, okay, there's no number 2, okay, there's no number 6, and there's no number 8. I have to mark this down properly. I said there's no number 2, no number 6, and no number 8. Okay. Now, the total of Armageddon is 83. So in the 83, it creates the 8. So the only 2 that I do not have there is 2 and 6. And every number, of course, is going to be very exciting for me. But 26 is the game. It's a card. That's what 26 represents. God. It represents the dog. It represents the queen. And it goes further, and it goes to less. 26 is the letters in the alphabet of one passage. Because all actuality, there's 26 plus 1 repeated. The one that connects the one before. The in-between letter that you reuse. Use and reuse. So there's 26 letters. So 2 times 6 equals the 12 tribes. 2 plus 6 equals the 8 heaven. The totality equals 20, which is the beta world, the world we are in, of the 12 tribes, equaling to 2012 of Alpha Beta, 2014. So anyways, I did a lot in here. I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to take your time up next time. Where's my mouse to shut this off? I'll do it next time. I was going to be doing September and October, and I decided I'm going to do maybe all the months. And anyways, whatever else it is, I'm for the liberty of everybody, and I am definitely, like, I have my liberty right now. I can use a few more bucks, but I'm happy like this. But sometimes I just don't want to go outside and walk just in case, like, oh, is someone going to just stop me now? because I look guilty. I mean, I'm the good sheriff in town. Don't stop me. Stop someone who started. You know how you want it. You want to protect yourself. Get an alarm system where you can talk two ways or something. That's your freedom. You're giving up your freedom right there by that alarm system to somebody else. But it was based on yours. That's the only way you should have the extra freedom. Or a little bumper that you can press that can call for help. There's all kinds of stuff nowadays. What do we need? Army guards? Army guards? For what? Because the old lady got hit? So we need to have army men because people are attacking old ladies? No, some of those people, right, that are collecting welfare, set them up on a corner 3 times a week for 2 hours just to watch the corner. Just to watch the corner. Give an extra $50 for the month. Make the corner safe. By one who works for you, you work for him. You know, little things like that. And stop with this, you're stealing my job. There's something wrong. Either the job is there or it's not there. You only create what is the evolution of. And while they're evolutionizing one thing, they're taking away jobs while creating something and making a new machine, giving new jobs. So there's always a give and take, right? If you got 25 fish, okay, in a box, okay, no, they're not swimming, they're not alive. You got 25 fish in the box, okay, and the guy says, I need the box, I got fish to put in. He says, I only can put 25. He says, well, try to get 2 in, because the 2 was bigger than the 5. So anyways, for and foremost, to get away from that, yeah, Ron Paul has got to make it. Yeah, I'm putting off part of my story and some of my story into my diaries, jumping onto Ron Paul. One of the guys just jumped out of the campaign, and I heard it in Ron Paul's voice. He is so eager to just snap apart from all of them. The only reason Ron Paul is not on basically his own because he doesn't have enough money. That's why he's running it this way now. He gets the extra publicity this way. But mind you, if he was on his own, wouldn't he get that publicity anyways? You understand what I'm saying? It goes both ways. But I guess the man knows, right? I guess the man knows. Went to about 20 different places, brought in 150, 200,000 people in his crowds. The man knows, my friends. The man knows. Sounds like it's raining outside, but I don't know. So we did the word Armageddon, and it finishes off with the 38 count, which stands for C and H, which somebody say it's creative heaven, one say it's creation heaven, one say it's the Christ heaven. They also say it's the ICH, chi, or she, like in Hashim. And the reason for that is because every time you have a silent H, you have an active I. Because the H turned sideways is the I, but if you turn it sideways with the C turns over to an N, and you have the door that says in. So it all depends the way you want to look at it. Sometimes C's are half C's, sometimes they create it, and there's a little part just pulled out like the Pac-Man mouth, right? Another thing in Armageddon is it says Amram, okay, or Mars, aged on, or no nod. No nod, Amram aged on, or not on. Amram aged not on. On, not on. So it says in the word. Anyways, it doesn't hold to the 2 and the 6 are the only 2 that are completely eliminated from this. And one of the reasons for it is because the M is part of the 6 and the 4, although it's the 13th letter. If you would design it with Roman numerals, it would show you it was the 4 and the 6. And the same thing for the 4 here on 2 Ds. Once you have the 2 Ds, once you flip a D upside down, okay, it becomes a P. And the reflective 1010 number to 4 is 6. Not only that, the reflective number of 4 is 3. When you regard all the sides of the dice, the opposites are 7. So 4 would be 3, D-D-O-N, Christ creation. So you can flip around all these numbers, you know. And the O is the 15th letter, okay? And 5 and 1 is 6, so therefore I have my 6 there. And the first 2 letters are A and R. And just the one letter R has the sound of A, so you don't need A. So the one The 1 that is in A is in R. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't need R because it's angel resident. It's not angel resident. So the count, and I just made a mistake. I think I'm down to 82, and that would make so much more of, okay, 19, 32, 33, 45, 8, 53, 63, 68, 78, 78, 82. Yeah, and the number is 82, okay? I made a mistake. Okay, so we do have everything. The only one I don't have now is the 6, okay? And that's 6 man. That's included because Armageddon is what it's all about. So the 6 doesn't even show up in any of the numbers at all. Another thing I was going to mention is that when you look at the letter O, which is the egg of everything, well, what would you call 7? Would you call it the gateway? So wouldn't the O or an egg be the gateway of man's coming out into the world? And the reason I say that is because the 7 ball and pool and the 15 ball and pool are both rusty, just like the 15th letter is an O. They both hold the rusty nail. I guess a sign of copper. I don't know exactly what they had in the exact color making their pool balls, but they did it sort of like colors around the world. I mean, you know what's good about colors? I see black, and the guy in China, he see black too. He sees yellow. I see yellow, you see yellow, they see yellow. I see orange, you see orange, they see red, they see green, I see green, you see green, you see red. I see blue, you see blue. So that's what's so great about colors. Isn't it fantastic? Wow. You see that color? No, I'm colorblind. You see that color? Hold on a second. What color is that? White? Whatever color you say, I'm going to say the same thing because I see the same thing as you. Wow, man. Talk about things that connect. Now, I don't know about you, okay, but what would you think this was? That's a circle. Wow. What do you think he thinks? You think he thinks? You think everybody thinks it's a circle? You know what happens if I do this to it? They become the digital circles and create the snake. Do you know why they create the snake? Because this one here and this one here, a snake has to go and around it. So it turns the yin and the yang while one's pushing, one's pulling, while one's pulling, one's pushing. That's where the S comes in. The snake. They have to move around the center. Like, I'm definitely thinking that man is on Jupiter, like almost for sure now, because I can't see anything else. Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, okay, 4 corners holding off with Earth and Mercury, the other 4 corners holding off with Jupiter, Pluto, and Uranus. Now, would that mean that Mercury and, that's what I'm thinking, Mercury and Pluto are on the same thing? Mercury, Pluto, Mars, Saturn is one portration. And you know what's funny about it is that if Jupiter was the middle ball of the balance of everything, holding that everything is sturdy on each side, you know what would be funny? Because if Jupiter was like cut in half so we only see half, it would almost look like a candle holder, or it would look like a woman's dress cut in half. And Jupiter's in the center, hiding everybody. Or her long gown. Anyways, I'm going to end it here. Something's burning. I can't explain it all. Raphael 7286.